wait for people to come on. There's no point talking to myself. So I'm just in the fish shed, if you like, doing some maintenance. I thought I'd come on, do a live, and just talk fish keeping. So if anyone's on catch up, what you're up to, let me know in the chat. Use people in the future. So I'm gonna get some maintenance done. I'll do some water changes and then gotta get some of these duckweed out of this tank. It's a constant bite. Duckweed's amazing for obviously like the wall stab method. We talk about the aerial advantage with the wall stab method, but a lot of floating plants I find are very temperamental. Like the likes of red roof floaters and Amazon frogbit. While I love them as plants, I find that they're very temperamental and they just melt away quite easily. So I buy them at a bucket full, but unless the water's really still, I tend to find I don't have much success with Amazon frogbit. I find I have more success with salvinia, but even that, if the top of the leaves get wet by splashing, they can melt away quite easily. Duckweed, although everyone says they hate duckweed, duckweed's like the most successful one, but obviously it can be too successful, can't it, in your tank? But it is what it is, you know. The hard part is trying to keep it out of other tanks if you've got it in a planted tank. And I like duckweed for two reasons. One, if I'm running like a naturally planted tank, it's definitely the best floating plant for the air advantage, but also I tend to, when I'm keeping goldfish or anything that's a herbivore, I'll throw a load of duckweed in and they tend to nail it all within a day or two. So 24 in the chat, good morning, how are we? Don't be shy, say hello, tell us what you're up to today. Tell us what type of fish you're into, if you're keeping fish. Everyone's shy. This is my 250 litre wall start naturally planted tank. The plants of the filtration. I'm just pulling out a load of duckweed. I have to kind of be careful because I'm trying to cultivate salvinia and remove duckweed at the same time. 27 in the chat, good morning everyone. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it might be, wherever you are. I'd love to know where people are from personally, like some of the cool places. Anyone from Brazil? Anyone live near the Amazon or Lake Tanganyika in Africa? Some of my favourite places for fish. And then obviously rainbows in here, which are from the likes of Australia. Good morning, how are we? How are we, Lucas? You okay? I haven't been live for a while, mate. I know you always pop on to check me out while I'm live. I just thought I'd go live while I was doing some maintenance on the tank, get some ewes to give me some company while I'm picking up duckweed and all that fun stuff. That's what I mean, Lewis. So sad, wasn't it? Oh, sorry, mate. I didn't. I work with someone called Lucas, so the name's confused. Lucas. Sorry, that's me concentrating on pulling. Trying to concentrate on digging Salvinia out of duckweed to try and keep cultivating them. It's a bit of a an intense process trying to not to lose me Salvinia. It's only about a year to get it going. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the old duckweed, but it definitely does in these tanks. Obviously, like the naturally planted tanks, where you're using them to pull out nutrients. The bad part about the nutrients is it makes it grow like wildfire, so you'd have to. See, that's what I'm pulling out in a week. That's just a little bit. Is get handfuls and handfuls of the stuff out in a week. Still have my goldfish for this, but can't keep goldfish just because you want to feed them duckweed. It's a bit, obviously you have to put more care into them than just feeding them duckweed. You have to give them a big tank, don't you? I'm curious to know if there's any other fish that eat duckweed actually. Something I could add to my collection, but yeah, I think it's even worse in ponds because you got the natural sunlight, so it grows like wildfire. A lot of the floating plants I find I struggle with tanks. As soon as you put them in a pond, they absolutely explode, like the likes of. I had frog bait last summer, and I couldn't get it to grow in my tanks. I put it in a pond outside, and it absolutely exploded. But the frog bait actually went red, like bright red, like red root floaters would. But obviously that's because of the extreme sunlight. These Canadian, I suppose. Isn't Canada a bit colder? You find if you give something conditions where it's slightly warmer than where it's from, either does really well or doesn't do well at all. But I find if anything comes from like Canada or somewhere where it's slightly colder, then they like bring it to the UK, especially where we are, mate. It's I think it's slightly warmer on the likes of Merseyside than it is on most of the UK because we get the warm air from down south coming up the Irish, so it's kind of 1 or 2 degrees warmer usually than the rest of the UK. You probably noticed. I noticed years ago when everywhere was getting loads of snow and we hardly got any. I was like, "Where's all that coming from? How come we hardly get any?" And we walked into it because the area is slightly warmer due to the warm air coming up the Irish Sea. Well, that's what the website said anyway. Yeah, cichlids definitely. I'm not sure about live bearers and barbs. These lilies aren't doing great again. They seem to have a growth spurt and then all go sickly. Here we go. Looking a bit better, isn't it? See some light in there now. There's a strange patch here. I don't know why it happens just in the one place, but I always seem to get like just one patch in that same place of like hair algae, but this hair algae actually feels like hair. Like it's like you pulled it out of a brush, like a hairbrush. It actually feels like real hair, not the soft stuff. So I'm gonna pull some Amazon sword leaves off. I haven't put any videos out on YouTube for a while, like any long form videos. I don't know whether anyone's noticed. Do they? Yeah, I didn't know that, mate. Every day's a school day in the hobby, innit? Keep holding myself in here. I'm just looking for any more khaki leaves. Can't see any bad ones now. Oh, there's one there, it was terrible. Look at this. So this stuff, I'll pull it out. Pop this in the tank, this Brazilian pennywort. And I originally planted it and it just floated off. And I thought, that's it, it's gone, it's died. And it kind of stuck itself inside my Amazon sword. And it just grows like mad in there now. So I kind of just left it and let it do its own thing. Maybe one day it'll root itself somewhere, I don't know. But I'm not in no rush. With this tank, I just let it do its thing naturally. White bears, I've seen do it, just not the best. Sorry for me labour breathing, I'm like leaning right over into the tank. Oh wow. So there we go. Let's catch up with the chat. White bears, I've seen it do it. Not the best at it. Yeah, to be honest, I've got guppies. Well, they're kind of like a cross between guppies and endless in the tank behind me, and I get duckweed in there by accident sometimes, and it never seems to last. So maybe they're nibbling away at it, but ooh. Sometimes I wish I could just get rid of all the duckweed and just get a load of salvia in here. But I do have this massive crinum sticking out the top. Hey up, Rye, how are we? Ah, cool. I was hand feeding Oscars and parrotfish not long ago. Yeah, I've always wanted an Oscar, but there's that many other fish I've never committed to an Oscar, but it'd be amazing. I've got my geophagus hand feeding. Literally bite me hand. Good here, bud. Last one, thank God. Yeah. Last day in work's always, I feel like your last day in work sometimes better than your day off. Looking forward to the day off's actually better than the day off sometimes. This tank, I absolutely love this. The way the dwarf sarge has just overtook it all. Eventually, let me turn this. I might go off for a second. I'm just going to turn it to the Wi-Fi from the house internet. Yeah, it's the only day I have motivation, mate, because I know after the 12 hours I have 4 days off. Yeah, I work 12-hour shifts, and I absolutely hate them, to be honest. I used to do split shifts. We used to go in for like 4 or 5 hours in the morning and go back out in for 4 or 5 hours in the evening. And I used to prefer that much more. Now we do 12, and it just seems like the job's 4 times harder. Just doing the same hours but split and in one go kind of thing. Yeah, there's me. We can get it on camera. Only post one eye of breathing. There's that pennywort. That's I'm sure one of them. That's one of them plants that can use like pH as a form of carbon as well. So it like literally grows anywhere. Excuse me. Kind of. Don't know whether it was COVID or chest infection, but. Yeah, that's. See, with the 12-hour shifts, I think when we were doing split shifts, we do like 1 day in, 1 day off, 1 day in, 1 day off, and now we do the 12 hours. We do like 3 days in, 2 days off, 2 days in, 3 days off, kind of thing. So you get more days off together. But like when I'm on my 2 days off, if I've just done a night shift, that first day's gone. So it just feels like one day off, really. But we used to have a day shift and a night shift, but the manager decided he wants to do away with the night shift and have everyone do nights, which, you know, I and a lot of people didn't agree with. Plus, yeah, it's definitely a nightmare. Plus, one of the reasons why when someone asked me if I wanted this job, one of the reasons why I took it is because of the split shifts. I thought I'd be able to, breed certain fish like angels, and then I'll be able to feed them in the morning, feed them in the afternoon, and feed them when I get home from work in the evening. And now I'm doing 12-hour shifts, and I start earlier, so it's a bit hard to get out here when it's pitch black and feed fish when all the lights are off in the room. I could arguably put a night light on, but then that's running another light for another like 12 hours. Oh wow, quite a few Oscars there then, mate, haven't you? I'll say it's one of them fish that's always appealed to me, and I've never got round to keeping one. Like, I couldn't tell you how many job offers I get in fish shops, but it's taking the pay cut. I mean, I probably could sit down, work out my finances and stuff, and say, well, it'd probably balance itself out if I applied for, like, I don't know, some like benefits or something. It'd probably balance itself out if I took a pay cut. And I assume if I put on social media I was looking for jobs in a fish shop, I reckon someone would reach out to me and offer me a job. Something I've never thought about, to be honest. Tropical frogs will eat duckweed. That's cool. Tell you one thing, I don't know whether any of them do, but turtles are a fish I'd love to keep. Like musk turtles. I'm just having a... See, that's the same as me, mate. Like, I get an hourly rate and then a salary on top. So people ask me how much I'm earning, and I don't even know because I'm on an hourly rate and then I get a salary as well. So, and then the overtime rates, they give us the salary, so they don't have to pay as much in overtime because they don't pay the salary on the overtime rate. They just pay the hourly wage. It's time and a half. But there's been like a big stink with the union because apparently they're supposed to pay you your holiday pay based on the amount of hours you actually do, including overtime, not just your flat hours. And they've just been paying us on the flat. They've been doing our overtime based on the flat hours, so the unions made them give us a load of backdated pay. And some people have got that much backdated pay, they paid the bloody mortgages off with it, so... That's the problem, mate. It's like, I don't know whether you've noticed, but since my hours have changed in work, like, I haven't been publishing content on my channel. Like, I haven't been getting to fish shops as much. Like, Whittle Aquatics opened like last autumn, and I was hoping to be there like regularly, and I just it literally take, like, I can't just get a bus or a train from here to Whittle Aquatics. I have to walk the like train station, which is like a 15-minute walk, and then potentially wait 15 minutes for a train, get a train into town, then wait 15 minutes for another train. It takes 15 minutes to the train to get up to Morton, where Whittle Aquatics is, and then walk up there. So it roughly takes me an hour to get there, and then it takes me, obviously I'm going to want to spend at least an hour there if it's taking me an hour to get there, and then the journey home's the same as the journey there, and I only get about 12 hours a week to myself. So, like, and then usually, like I was saying before, the first day off is usually a write-off for me. I'm usually just sat with my legs and hips aching because I haven't stopped for 3 days. I was lost there. When was that, Lewis? See, that's the thing. Andy's Aquatics got a lot of sentimental value for me. So it's like, and I keep pestering them to set up like a TikTok or something, just some sort of, just every time you get like, and I'm doing an unboxing video every time we get fish in, do like some short videos. I keep pestering them to do it. I think just putting that out there, getting some fish that people love, I don't know, like apistos are quite popular at the moment, rams, cribs, stuff like that, and shrimp. I feel like if they got a few orders in like that and promoted them on social media, I feel like they'd start picking up a bit of traction. Yeah, I think the problem Andy's has faced is we had the recession, didn't we, in like 2008, and that gave him a bit of a kicking. And then just as the marine hobby started picking up, and he invested a lot of money in marine stuff, Waves Aquatics opened up in Bromborough, which was like another marine shop, but it was specialist in marine fish and corals and stuff. And that kind of took a lot of the potential market. So he invested money in marine stuff, and then Waves Aquatics took off the profits and then folded. Let's throw some light on this situation. What's this? My views will probably drop now. They always do. When I take my camera off the wall start tank, the views tend to plummet. But there we go. Let's turn that light off. So you need to get shots of these ideally. There's an absolute ton of shell dwellers in here, and they chase the frontosa behind there. So let's catch back up on chat. Let's see where it was up to. If you ever want a turtle, I can source them. Oh, cool. I think it'd be a musk turtle as opposed to like a fly river turtle. I've seen a few of them in the hobby lately. They're absolutely stunning, but cost a few bob, don't they? Two months ago, that's when you were in Andy's. Yeah, so that's what I was saying about Andy. So like that, Waves Aquatics kind of swooped in and took a lot of the profits off the marine side of the hobby, and then that went under, and then we had like a couple of years later we had COVID, and then the lucky bills shot up, didn't they, and the hobby dropped off. And then he said he stocked a load of like cold water temperate fish, and while that side of the hobby picked up for a bit, it died off, and he ended up with all these temperate fish he had to move on. He said everyone's just gone back to like going to smaller tanks and nanos, like the apistos and the cribs and the rams and everything I was talking about. Northwest is killing it for fish keeping. I need to do a day around the stores up your way. By far one of the best parts of the country for fish. Oh mate, yeah. See, I think that's another thing that's had an impact on the likes of Andy's, is like, you know, that shop's had the stuffing kicked out of it, and just as it starts to recover, then the likes of, you know, Premier popped up, and Finest, and, you know, Premier are just constantly on social media, so they're constantly attracting attention to themselves. And then obviously we've just had Whittle Aquatics open, so we've all got fresh investments, all nice new shops. So, and they're all promoting on social media, which I think is the biggest thing now. I think you need to be on social media. Ermston, good for the. Oh, I absolutely love Ermston, and I want to get to know Spud better. Obviously, I know him through Big Fish Lad, and I've bumped into him at an auction, and like he was like really nice guy. And he invited me down to do a fish shop tour, and then my little boy was off school sick, so I had to like cancel last minute. So the lads got me some footage, and I put together a fish shop tour, but I didn't manage to go. So one of the things I want to do is get down there, see it, and do like a proper fish shop tour. But I absolutely love the Northwest. It's killing. I sub to you. Nice one, Rye. Shrimpimus Maximus boss, I got a question. GB Glenn said you might be a good person to ask. Are there any UK pure Shrimpimus? There is. He was in practical fish keeping, and he was in a Facebook group called Basilia Wengii on Facebook, but after he went to the Practical Fish Keeping magazine, he's got a shed in his garden. It's full of tanks that are planted tanks, and they're just full of N class. That's the right one, isn't it? N class, like the wild type endless. But I don't know how to get hold of him at the moment. He seems to have gone missing since that magazine. People must have been hounding him for frying. But there is, if you go on that Basilia Wengii Facebook group, there's a few UK breeders. And they definitely delve with deal with the pure strain endless, apart from instead of like the P and K class pet shop. A shop near me, Geophagus. I love. Yeah. Let's catch back up. My friend runs a reptile rescue, and sometimes they get them. Where are we up to? A shop near me, Geophagus. I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Sub-adult female for £10. Excuse me. Wow. I'm loving me Geophagus at the moment. I don't know whether anyone's been watching the Blackwater tank in the living room. Like, for me, Paracephalus redhead tapajos used to be called. They're absolutely flying at the moment. See if we can get some light on these front toes without upsetting them. Nope, they've gone. This fella here, I don't know whether you can see him. It's getting quite big now. It's mostly the front toes and big soft American birds, but yeah, I think that's the list then. I saw some 45s on eBay, but I need to speak to a breeder to get more. See, the problem with eBay is, like, I ordered Manica Peru angelfish. I looked at all the pictures, and the pictures were in Manica Peru, but the fish I got weren't the picture in the they weren't the fish in the picture, and they blatantly weren't related to the pair. The fish in the picture definitely weren't the parents, because they're a different. They look like a cross between Rio Nane and maybe a Mappa Reds, but definitely not got icons. I don't think they're Rio Nane, Manica Peru genetics. I think they're a Mappa. To fix the tank out and replacing the panels, not the whole tank, and keep them clean, and they do good again. Yeah, you get pure endless in auction sometimes. My rescue, I was on about the turtles and the one about the tanks. I was on about Andes. Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. On see the problem with, like I was saying before, the problem for me, like kind of going off on a tangent, and I'll come back to making a point in a sec. Like I was saying before, I haven't got much time, spare time at the moment, so I'm finding I'm not being inspired as much by the hobby for a start. A lot of my tanks just don't inspire me. I know these front hoses will when they get a bit bigger, but ultimately, I'm kind of thinking to myself, I could shut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks down, keep 2, and I'd still be getting just as much enjoyment out the hobby, I think, with a lot less maintenance and stuff. So, so then when I do order fish that I want to kind of inspire me, like the Manica Peru, and then eBay send me fish that blatantly aren't, and I'm like, I've just sent you 120 quid for 6 angelfish, and you send me basically culls. Like that's like it's not doing much for my morale, is it? You know, it's not. That's the one, Lewis. Like, I literally think at the moment, if I just kept my front hoser, my Rio Nane, and my Geos, yeah, there is disheartening. But then I look at Glenn from GB Shrimp, what he's doing with his shrimp room, and that process he's got going on really, it really piques me interest. It really inspires me. The way he's got, like, say, for argument's sake, off the top of my head, I don't know how many tanks he's got. Say he started with 6 tanks, and he sets them up, and he's bought a colony of, I don't know, hypothetically, say like crystals, and he starts off with a few crystals, maybe a few neos, and then he breeds them out, so he's got like 100 of each, and then he flips them, and then you can post them Royal Mail. Whereas fish, you're not supposed to post Royal Mail. I've had people send me, I've paid for premium postage from eBay, and I've received a box of Manica Peru. And there wasn't a drop of water in any of the bags. All the bags are split, and I think I paid like 90 quid plus £25 postage for these Manica Peru. Now, if I was breeding fish, I wouldn't want that reputation. I wouldn't want to be earning myself that type of reputation where the fish were turning up dead because you sent them through Royal Mail, and everyone knows you're not supposed to send them through Royal Mail. Whereas fish, you can't. With shrimp, you can use Royal Mail, and you only need, polystyrene box. You can stick a live invert label on there, and they ship a lot better. So that inspires me, the fact that Glenn can just use Royal Mail to fund his hobby. I know Glenn's got a business on top of his hobby. But ultimately, that's the point. It's a business. It's a hobby that's grown into a business. He's obviously stocking dry goods and plants and stuff, which all revolve around his fish keeping hobby, his shrimp keeping hobby. It's the invert hobby. It's enjoying it all. Too much drama plus other things. Do you know what? That's the second time in 2 days I've heard people mentioning drama in the invert hobby. But that's the problem, isn't it? People come into the hobby and they come in with the sole purpose of making a name for themselves rather than the passion for what they're keeping. And I just I'm not going to any auctions at the moment, mate. I haven't. No one's invited me. I haven't made any arrangements with anyone, and to be honest, I haven't seen any advertised. So I do love shrimping, but I see drama in all the fish, aquascaping, shrimping groups. Yeah, I do. And the drama usually comes from self-imposed or self-declared, for want of a better term, experts who know it all. They want to tell everyone they know it all, and they think that they're the authority figure in that hobby. And those type of people wind me up to the point where, like, you might see a lot of my content's like aimed at these people, saying like, if you're gonna say these things, you need to be right for a start. I find I go off on tangents, especially like a lot of the groups I'm in. A lot of people turn up with this false information. I'm like, that's false information, and I'm not. I don't mind if someone turned up and they're like, yeah, if you can keep, I don't know, for example, front ocean soft water, or I've done it, and I'm like, if I'm like, no, all right, you're saying that you're keeping your fish in that's one thing, but when you're telling new people who are coming into the hobby, these at best controversial opinions, and at worst blatant just lies to try and make yourself look like an authority figure. If you're going to do that, I'm going to challenge you, and then I end up getting into debates with them, and then that ends up affecting my content, because I put out content saying you can't say that, like, that's not true. And that's because I come from a science background. So, like, obviously for nearly 10 years I was peer reviewing stuff, and I was putting articles out, journals with my lab, and other labs were peer reviewing them. What you say has to be accurate, otherwise someone else is going to pull you apart. And that's part of a thought process that I learned while I was working in labs. So I don't mind people necessarily throwing out something that's controversial, but when you're trying to teach new hobbyists these controversial things, like it's the norm to try and make yourself. Let's catch back up with the chat. Yeah, and then I worry about how my channel and my social media comes across, because I'm used to this peer review, and I'm used to critiquing other people's stuff. So I do it as part of my YouTube, and then I think that, does that come across as me being negative and critical, or I don't know, but it must have an impact on my channel, and it might come across quite critical. And I don't try and promote myself as an expert on anything. I just see myself as an experienced hobbyist. But I do like to hold people accountable. If they're saying something, if they're trying to teach someone something, then I'm gonna try and pull people on it. Because for me, one of the most important parts of the hobby for me is getting new people passionate about it, and that's how the hobby grows. And that, to me, that's my little bit of legacy, if you like, towards the hobby, is keeping people in the hobby, letting it grow. Yeah, some of it is just greed. Like, there's a term I come across the other day called flippers. I think the guy used people who just buy fish off people to flip it, to sell it for a profit. Like, I have fallen out with these people all the time, especially since I've been on social media. People will message me and say, I've got this, that, and the other. And I'm kind of like, well, I know you bought that off, and you only bought that off him because he was shutting the tank down. So you're making a profit off his misfortune. I'm not comfortable providing that profit. Like, I'm the type of person who, long story short, I remember a guy in the marine hobby years ago, and because he was divorced, his wife had moved out, he couldn't afford his house. So I went round and I bought all this stuff off him, and people were trying to undercut him. And I ended up costing myself money, saying, like, if you got some polystyrene boxes so I can take the corals, and he was like, yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'll give you 20 quid for the boxes and this, that, and the other. And I ended up giving him an extra 100 quid on top of the stuff because I felt that guilty, because that was his passion, and people trying to undercut him. I can't stand these people who are just buying stuff to flip them for a profit. To me, that's not a hobby. That doesn't show passion. It just shows greed, like Lewis is saying there. That's the Rainford coming up in March. It comes from the snobs too and backstabbers. Yeah, so I've got a lot of people since I've been doing content creating who spread rumours about me to the local shops and stuff, and they try and create rumours that will upset the shops about me, and I find it quite upsetting because I've spent a lot of years building reputations with shops. You know, I used to take them fish and corals and plants and stuff and give them to them for free. So in my opinion, that was like a little bit of profit that the shop could put back into investing, and then I get people spreading rumours that blatantly aren't true about me, and that bugs me. I'm one of those, if I don't know, I will find out. If I do, I will argue the toss. That's true. That's exactly what I'll do, Lewis. But if I know I'm right and if I know someone else is wrong and they're trying to push that information on someone else, I'll constantly challenge it. Whereas with me, I'm like, yeah, I'm not having it. If they're trying to teach someone else it, someone new, especially something controversial or that's something that's just blatantly wrong, I'll argue to the toss till the end of time. I get the same thing with guys saying you don't need filters or heaters or cycles here. You can get away with cutting corners, but only relative to your experience. I don't even, I run a wall-start tank, and you know, the first thing I come across is people fundamentally misunderstand the wall-start method, and then they start saying it's no water changes, it's this, that, and the other. And it's not, like, it's there in the book. She says, like, it'll reduce the amount of water changes you can do, because obviously all the nitrates, phosphates, ammonia, all the things that are polluting the tank, or a lot of the stuff that's polluting the tank, is getting pulled out by the plants. So yeah, it does lower the need for water changes, but that's not the point there. The point is you're not running a nitrogen cycle, you're running nutrient cycling. You're using plants to pull the nutrients out rather than the plants to process the nitrogen, the bacteria to process the nitrogen. So all of this no water change crew, they're fundamentally misunderstanding the whole point in the wall-start method, in my opinion. And excuse me, sorry, I find these people are in all the groups and they see it as a flex, saying I don't do water changes. But like I was saying to Craig from Craig's Catfish, I never come across a prolific breeder or anyone with like a master breeder or anyone of that kind of level of experience who said, you know what, my success came from when I stopped changing water or stopped feeding me fish or cleaning my tanks. That's when my success in breeding started. I've never come across anyone like that. It's the opposite. They always tell me loads of fresh water, loads of good food, get loads of breeding going. I'd rather follow someone with morals and ethical approach to keep. That's it. Like, I don't know whether anyone's noticed, but I spend a lot of my time promoting people that are genuinely passionate about the hobby. Like, I'll share away, and I hate it. People take free animals and flip. Yeah, I can't stand it. That's why I always vet them and do adoption. What's going on? It's a lie. I bought some fish cheap, but paid over what he asked for, though. Fair enough. You know, we all get a bargain now and again, but like, you know, getting a fish for a bargain is one thing, but just buying it to sell it, try and lowball people to sell it, bugs me. And some of my room very cheap though. Didn't have room for fees. I mean, yeah. Exactly. Like, I don't like this wall. So I've got a thing that's bugging me at the moment, where like I joined a wall-start group on Facebook. I promoted it and I grew it. And when I started my channel, I started sending people there, and the channel blew up. It's at like 35,000 members now. And there must be about, out of all their members, there's a lot of activity there, and only 2 people actually understand. Like, you can tell there's only 2 people who've actually read the book and understand it. And this father fish stuff, for one, father fish openly admits he's deliberately controversial. And like I was saying before, is it controversy or is it deliberately lying to kind of make yourself look like an authority figure? That term to me is debatable in itself. But you have all these people saying, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, what you're saying, like, it's kind of, let me do the mental gymnastics to try and explain it simply. So basically, these people are like, yeah, the father fish method works and the wall stab method works. And I'm like, no, you're saying that the father fish method works. And Diana Wallstad in her book says that everything he says doesn't work. It literally says in the book that these things don't work and they inhibit the success of a planted tank. And then they say, well, the Wallstad method works. And I say, but you don't. You logically say it doesn't. And they're like, where? Show me some evidence. And I say, okay, go back to every person who's asked advice on the Wallstad method. And whenever anyone has shared advice from the Wallstad method, you say that's wrong. So by implication, you're saying the Wallstad method's wrong. And I never get a comment back after that. But like Father Fish, deliberate, like he openly admits that he's controversial. He admits openly on lives that, you know, a lot of the topics he covered was simply to grow his channel. Yeah, it's not even controversy, is it? It's still like I was saying before about the Wallstad method. It's the whole core underpinning of it is you're getting rid of the idea of nitrogen cycling, and you effectively using nutrient cycling. So your plants are pulling up the ammonia straight away. Is that it's not Bear's Coat, is it? Takes the spotlight off our better, more informed and passionate hobbyists. That's the thing. When I first set this channel up, on the first lives I did, it was on the wall. Like it, I don't know whether, I think actually Lewis was there. Lewis was in the chat. There was me, Lewis, and I think it was a Scottish guy. But Lewis was definitely in the chat, and there was a Scottish guy, and we were talking about the Wallstad method. And this guy's gone away, and I see him in the comment section of all these other like guys who are like self-proclaimed data tank experts. And after like 2, maybe 3 years, I think it is, I always see him in the comment section. He always watches the video, and after like 2-3 years of that, like I put a video out the other day talking about breaking down all my Wallstad tanks, and he messaged me and was like, please don't, please, like, keep making the content. He said, you're like, he was like, I've read the book. Some of the stuff I don't understand it, and you can explain it. You're the only person I've come across who, 1, understands it, and 2, can explain it. He's like, so like, if you're gone off YouTube, everyone else is just making stuff up. And, you know, I think that's, I don't know, like, do you remember that, Lewis? Like, as I say, he's gone away, and he spent, like, since that day, that must have been like 2021, 2022. Like, it was like an autumn evening, wasn't it? And I was just sat on the floor on a beanbag or something, or I think it was even a bag of compost or aqua soil or something. And we were just chatting away for a couple of hours. I say he's like gone away and he's done loads of studying and research on it, and he's come back and he's like, that was it. And then I think to myself, do you know what? Like, it kind of puts a bit of, it makes me feel kind of, I don't know, like responsible in a way that I should carry on doing it. Yeah, it was, you were culling your shrimp. Yeah. I don't even remember what I was doing. I just remember was that that might have been the original topic for the live. See, but I think for me, like, I want to say to people, like I done the wall stop method years ago, and there was a lot of good advice back then, and I learned a lot. And then I've read like the book multiple times, and I've read loads of articles on it, and I spoke to people who were like, "Oh, you've got autism?" Yeah, so it is. I know how good memory is for people with, like, I consider myself to have a good memory, and people accuse me of being clever because of my memory. But like compared to some of the people I've met with autism, like my memory's nothing compared to them. Like there's a word that's like higher than photographic, and I can't remember the name of it, but that's what they are. Like they're still in that moment. Yeah, I suppose autism can be a blessing and a curse, can't it? Yeah, well, like that's the thing that's kind of the fish I want to keep, like the likes of the frontosa and the wild angels and stuff. They, oh wow, was that sounds like hard work, that mate. Like especially must be nice living with epilepsy. Like just knowing that at any moment you could not be conscious must be terrifying, to be honest. But yeah, as I was saying, so like the fish I want to keep, like the frontosa, the geos, the wild angels, they don't do well in dirty tanks, in wall-start tanks, but the likes of rainbows do. So I'm kind of conflicted between, do I keep pushing this wall-start method, keep educating on it, even though I feel like I'm banging my head against a brick wall, or do I just do what I want to do? I feel like a lot of people out there who make the dirty tank stuff up as they go along, I feel like they'd appreciate it if I disappeared. But I just, my first video on this channel, I talked about the wall start method. I didn't do it for the follows. I was already doing it. I was already experienced at it. I'd already lived that part of the hobby. And I'd kind of come away from it. But every time I mentioned it, people responded to the videos, and possibly 80% of the channel came about because of that method. So I realise why I popped you up here now, because I can see the chat better. Anyway, I thought I'd show you the time. Yeah, mate. So the thing that, like I was saying before, the thing that captivates me most of all about the wall start method is the fact that you're not relying on this. You're not relying on this traditional method of cycling a tank with the nitrogen cycle, because you're using the plants to do that. Wow, that's cool, that, mate. I was looking at Pinoy greens the other day, and to get a colony of them, I was looking at like 250 quid. I'd love some Pinoys, I'd love some Bulgarian seal points, some Manica Peru. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, so as I was saying, like I like the idea that this method it takes away from that traditional having to cycle a tank because the plants do that side of thing. They're gorgeous, aren't they, mate? And I think to myself that it takes away a lot of the commercialization. Like it frustrates me um, when like I'm not going to name any brands, but they put out these filters, and I look at them and I think to myself, well, essentially, you're selling it what it looks. It basically is just a big sponge filter, but you want 500 quid for it because you put a pump on it instead of it being air driven, and you put a few gadgets on it. But essentially, all it's doing to the tank is what a big sponge filter would do to a tank. You know, if someone's investing 500 quid in filtration in a tank, like I'd want the nitrates dealing with as well. I'd want the phosphates dealing with. I wouldn't just want that's my opinion. And then you get like, so I was watching an aquascaper. Yeah, well, cichlids, all cichlids are like that, aren't they? You just go bandits on everything else in the tank. So yeah, I was watching this aquascaper, and he was setting up a tank. About the same time I set up a water tank. That tank, once I had the tank, the whole tank light, soil, plants, stuff like that, the gravel. It cost me, I think it was 60 quid to set the tank up. It's fully planted. And then I watched an aquascaper set up an aquascape tank on YouTube, and I priced all the stuff up that he added. After he bought the tank, he added 1,700 quid's worth of stuff to the tank to make this aquascape. And I'm thinking, it's essentially just a planted tank, obviously, but he's got like over the top filtration, over the top light, CO2, all these expensive rocks and woods and aqua soils. And I thought, well, fundamentally, it's the same. Thing, it's just a planted tank. It's just I don't even know what that means, and I want that. But for 1,700 quid, I'd expect a breeding pair of every angelfish I want, and a room for them to go in. I'd expect them to be paired off and breeding for 1,700 quid. So like that's part of what makes me think, should I keep pushing this? I don't know. It's like you can do it for, if you can do it for 60 quid, why do it for 100 for 1,700 quid? It doesn't make sense to me. You're just paying people money for nothing. Exactly, it's just, yeah, I love the aquascaping, but at the same time, the people who define, a lot of the people I see who define themselves as aquascapers bug me. Here's the boss now. Morning, Glenn, you okay? I always talk strange on the on the microphone. I don't know why. No, not par. There must be a cunning plan. Dig food. Yeah, so this thing I've been talking about, where I've been kind of like doing mental gymnastics, going, do I do the wall start stuff? Do I do what I want to do? Like, it's been playing on my mind for weeks, and it's had an impact on me not putting out content. And obviously, I've been doing a lot of talking with Glenage behind the scene. And I just don't like, I haven't come to any sort of conclusion on the situation. But it's definitely, because I think my dream fish, I haven't got anywhere to house them. I haven't got anywhere to house my dream fish. Like, I'd need much bigger tanks. Like, I'd want stingray. Yep. But like I was saying before, like, Glenn's setup inspires me. I watch what he's doing, and there's that three-dimensional aspect, or fourth dimensional aspect, if you like, with the fourth dimension being time, where Glenn's setup has been set up with the inclusion of time. So he gets a colony of shrimp, he breeds them out, he uses that colony of shrimp to fund his next colony, and there's that whole fourth dimension of what you're doing now impacts on the future. And it's painfully obvious that I'm not doing that at all. Yeah, I'd absolutely love black diamond stingrays. But obviously, you need like a minimum of a 4x8 tank to house them. And I could put a good argument together to say they actually need a bigger tank than that. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's the theory behind it, and obviously, it's blatantly apparent that nothing I'm doing works that way. So, but it's something I'd like to. Wow, there's like weird jet engine screaming. That's my £2,000 in aquarium hobby, spend 4. That's it. If I was going to start keeping again, I'd be getting OB peacocks and OB dragons and another setup like Raphael catfish, Oscars, Lima shovelnose, Salvini, stuff like that. Yeah, that's they're the type of fish, good sized fish, and I think that's what appeals to me. Like, I always go back talking about my old setup before I moved here, because I feel like that had evolved, that setup, to the fish I wanted, and I had the front toes, I had discus, and I had a wall start tank. And I always think about that, because that evolved, and that was dynamic. It was an evolution of my hobby, and I had a lot of expensive gear that I bought over the years. Whereas this hobby I've got now was kind of put together quickly to get back to the level I was at, tank wise. But I don't necessarily feel like I'm ticking the boxes I should, like, that inspire me, keep me passionate, stuff like that. It's that. Well, let's catch up with the chat. I'm going back to, well, not back to, but expanding my Neos. They do sell. Um, it's funny you should say that, Glenn, because one of the lads local to me messaged me the other day, and he was like, he's like, I can't make enough Neos at the moment. The Neo hobby seems to have exploded. And he's got Caradina, and he says, I don't really sell any of my Caradinas, but the Neos are flying out. He said that the funding is fish room, so. Oh, and Geophagus love Geos. Do you find your Geophagus redheads aggressive? No. Not really at the moment. They're starting to show signs of aggression and stuff. These front toes are a bit more aggressive. These have gone pretty aggressive. But I'm expecting them to go very aggressive with each other as they get a bit older and they start hitting puberty, if you like, and start taking interest in lady fish. I feel like that's the aggression. It's that and Boona. No, these are Frontosa. These are Lake Tanganyika's king of cichlids. And one of my favourite fish in the hobby. Favourite fish I've ever kept. Once they start getting to about 6-8 inches, they start looking really impressive. Space is limited for most either breeders and keepers. Nano is the way forward in the current economic climate, in my opinion. Totally agree with that, Glenn. It's what the shop's saying people are doing. It's, like I was saying before, everyone's getting into like rams, apistos, cribs, all those types of fish. I think if I was to have to go down a nano route, I think I'd probably either get rid of fish and just keep shrimp, or I'd probably go down just keep an endless, like N-class, Pasilia wingii, just wild strains of endless. I think that's the route I'd go down. I can't keep shrimp, my water's too hard. My friends' ones are so aggressive and they're nowhere near as mature. I think with my Neos, I think that pane of glass on the front of my tank and the depth kind of magnifies my fish. Because I look at my fish on video and I'm like, wow, they look massive. But when I look at them in real life, they look about half the size. So, my friend, yeah. So I use RO, but going to move my Neos to TA. Tap, quite hard, but not super hard water. Agree. Nano fish will go on probably because of economic tight. Yeah, I totally agree with that. The shops are telling me that, and watching other hobbyists on social media. But nano fish don't really do much for me. Like, they're not my passion. I appreciate them. I like them. Obviously, I've got a few cories. But I don't think nano fish would keep my attention long term. I think the tanks would just go into autopilot and that'd be it. Shop near me has wolf cichlid. It's amazing. Damn, they're absolutely stunning, them fish. I've never keep admitting to people lately, like the African cichlids, Lake Tanganyika, piqued my interest years ago. And when something in the hobby piques your interest, it kind of quietens other sides of the hobby out. So I never really paid much attention to the American cichlids. But like looking at it now, I remember going to, I don't know whether Lewis knows, but something fishy. That's where I got my original batch of Frontosa from. I got half from there and half from Andes, so I had fresh genetics. That's what I need to do with these actually, is put some Frontosa in here with fresh genetics to get a breeding colony going, and then I can ship some out as they start getting bigger. But the problem is I've got two males who are quite aggressive towards each other. You can see bite marks on the lips. I did think I had 4 males and 2 females, and now looking at it, I've got 2 males definitely. Maybe I've got some like subdominant males, but they're showing no aggression. There's just like 4 smaller ones and 2 bigger ones. But once, like, so I went to something fishing and seen Geophagus, and I was like, God, I've got to have some of them. And the tank that the Geophagus are in now, that's why I had my Frontosa in. And so And I didn't have any other large tanks, so I had no chance of keeping geos. But I made a mental note, and I was thinking, thought to myself, I'll get some of them. And basically, that's what I've done. To be honest, Glenn, I'm assuming they do. But I couldn't categorically say, yeah, I've experienced that myself. So if I can't say, yeah, I've definitely seen that, then for me, I won't pretend to be an authority figure on the topic. I honestly don't know. I know I had one dominant male with my last colony and a subdominant male who knew his place under the dominant male. But the rest of them, I honestly couldn't sex, so couldn't answer that without basically making it the answer being subjective, if you like, giving you a fantastic answer, but unfortunately be a lie kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? The shop I was on a proven trio, Frontosa, for very cheap. Yeah. See, the thing is, Frontosa, it's one of them fish that a lot of people buy them small, and then when they start getting a decent size, they go back to the shop, and then no one wants them because they can't house them, and the shop won't sell them to people with like 3-foot tanks. So, to be honest, if I'm honest with you, like part of the process, I enjoy Frontosa. Like I like challenging myself. I've been doing fish keeping long enough now, so I think to myself, right, I want a species of fish that I have to be successful with every single day for 5 years before they even start to get to the point where I could define myself as having success with them. And Frontosa ticks all that box. It's a big fish. I love big fish. It kind of ticks all the boxes for me. It's a slow grower. Yeah, I loved him. Like one of the things that drew me to Rob was the fact that he, like, obviously he's bloody expert on shrimp. When I was researching shrimp, but the fact that he had like loads and loads of different types of like Tanganyikas, loads of Rob had loads of Tanganyikan cichlids that I'd made a mental note of, saying to myself, I'm going to keep them in future, like the transcripts and some of the shell dwellers he's got. So, like, it was great for me being able to watch someone else keep them. The Black Widows, yeah, I can see the appeal, but I like them all wild type. I know a lot of people will say to me, oh yeah, I love Impimwi or MOBAs and stuff like that. But they're more on the Gibberosa side, aren't they, as opposed to Frontosa. For me, my favourite type of Frontosa are these Burundi, even though they're the cheapest. And the Kigoma, the 7 stripe, they look like the Burundi, but they've got the 7 stripe. Yeah, like I can see the appeal. It's just, I wouldn't criticise anyone for keeping them. Far from it. Like Frontosa keepers are few and far between. So, like anyone else who keeps Frontosa, like piques my imagination straight away. Oscar and my one true. I'd love to keep an Oscar. They're an Amazon fish, which like I don't know if anyone's noticed, but like I've got a big kick on fish from the Amazon lately. And I'll be honest with you, like keep it between us. Don't tell anyone. But I don't even know 100% what that means at the moment. I need to sit down and research. Obviously, I know all the species that like I've been keeping, like the angels, discus, black O's, cories, all them type of stuff, like stingrays. I know they come from the Amazon, but then like, oh mate, there's so much I need to do. I need to like retire, get a car, and like I need to go see yourself. I need to go and sit in Glenn's fish room, shrimp room, however you define it. I need to go and spend the day with Glenn and just chew the fat. But it's Glenn, and like I say, like I don't even know what I mean by that at the moment. I need to research it because there's so many. Yeah, definitely like Whittle Aquatics. Like I need to get up like little things like going to a shop up the road from me, which is like a 15-minute drive away. Like I need to get up there. There's like so many things I need to do at the moment, and just working some sociable hours and nights. But there was a thing Glenn just said, and it like I'd class them transcripts as a nano. And see that sent me off on a tangent in my head already. Like so when I think of like large tanks, medium tanks, nano tanks, my brain instantly flips back to the marine side of the hobby and what a lot of people are defining as nano in the freshwater hobby. Excuse me. You still hear me, guys? I know there's a delay, so I have to wait for a response. So I'm not seeing any responses. I'm assuming people can't hear me anymore because I'm not seeing a reply. The battery's just gone in my mic, so that's why I was asking if my audio's changed. By the looks of it, it's good now, mate. Can you hear me? Right. Yeah, cool. Just seeing a group of wild type Frontosa. Yeah, I just looked and the light had gone off on me. I don't know whether you can see that on my mic, so. Six, 7 inches down. I don't think I could keep 6, 7 inches fish at the moment. I mean, I've got these in here, but the plan is to kind of lower the colony down, so I've got maybe a male and a subdominant male, and then maybe a couple of females. I'd like to add more while they're small, grow some out. I need to shift some of these on, see if I can get them on camera now. It's hard because all the plug sockets are here, but whenever there's any sort of movement in the room, oh, do you know what that is? That's me canister filter on me Frontosa tank. Whoa! I need to move them on. Like, I've done what I wanted to do with them now. I always wanted to breed multis, and I've had it's about 2 or 3 batches of fry in there now. I nearly lost this colony because the temperature dropped in the room and I couldn't get it back up. So I had to put heaters in the tanks. So it's probably cost me an absolute fortune to heat this room this winter because I've been heating the room and the tank. So. But I feel like once I get them out, the multis, I feel like, because you can see the male here. He just patrols the side of the plants, and then the Frontosa are hiding the plants. They don't use this side of the tank at all. So I'm hoping if and when I get shut of these, I get to see more of my Frontosa. What size are these? I'm guessing mine are probably between 3 and 4 inches, maybe something like that. It's hard to. But this one at the front, I reckon he's about 4 inches, and then the one behind it's probably about 3, maybe. That's a rough guess. But I find once they get a little bit bigger, but once they hit like the 5-6 inch mark, then the behaviour starts changing. Get a bit more confident and stuff. I suppose once they get to that size in the wild, in Lake Tanganyika, having to deal with predators, are they? One of the biggest fish in the pond, in the lake by that point, in the pond. Tanganyika. Right guys, I'm going to shoot off. I'm supposed to be doing water changes and I'm just sat here chatting, so I've got a finite amount of time to get 6 tanks water changed, so I need to get my bum in gear. So, I'm going to make a shift. See you soon guys, take care, thanks for joining me and chatting away. I always enjoy chatting away with the people who follow the channel, and well, I hope your day goes fast in work, and Lewis, take care. I don't know why I can't remember the word Lewis today for some bloody reason. Anyway, take care, see you soon.